If you told anyone 1 year ago that LSU quarterback Joe Burrow was going to be the first overall pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, you would be laughed out of the room. How things can change in 1 year. Coming into the 2019 college football season, Joe Burrow was, at best, considered a fifth-round draft pick, and now he is a can't-miss prospect. So how'd we get here? This is Who is Joe Burrow? Joseph Lee Burrow was born in Ames, Iowa on December 10, 1996, to Robin and Jim Burrow. Jim Burrow played defensive back at Nebraska as well as in the NFL and CFL. After his playing career, he started his almost 40-year coaching career. Jim Burrow coached at Washington State, Iowa State, Ames High School, Nebraska, North Dakota State, and Ohio University. He decided to retire due to the fact he wanted to watch his son play in his senior season at LSU. Joe Burrow attended Athens High School in Ohio from 2011 to 2014. Burrow led his high school to 3 straight playoff appearances and the first 7 playoff wins in school history. Burrow threw for 11,416 yards and 157 touchdowns, while also rushing for 2,067 yards and an additional 27 touchdowns. According to 24/7 Sports, Burrow was a 4-star recruit and the 7th best dual-threat quarterback in his class. Quarterbacks in his class included Josh Rosen, Drew Lock, Jared Stidham, Kyler Murray, Sam Darnold, and Lamar Jackson. Burrow failed to make the Elite 11 regional finals in Columbus, Ohio in 2014. When he got into the car, he told his father, "I'm not going to forget this." All Burrow wanted was an offer from Nebraska so he could follow in the footsteps of his father and 2 older brothers, but the offer never came. Burrow's first offer would be from his father's team, Ohio University, but Burrow considered his first real offer to be from Lincoln Riley, who was at ECU at the time. Originally, Ohio State was not going to offer Burrow, but Tom Herman, who was the offensive coordinator at the time, had a feeling about Burrow, and prep school coaches in the state of Ohio only had good things to say about him. Burrow received offers from Boston College, Central Michigan, Cincinnati, East Carolina, Fresno State, Iowa State, Kentucky, Maryland, Minnesota, NC State, Ohio, Ohio State, Toledo, Vanderbilt, Virginia Tech, West Virginia, and Western Michigan. Burrow would decide to commit to Ohio State, where he would play from 2015 to 2018. When Burrow arrived at Ohio State, the roster already had Cardale Jones and J.T. Barrett. Burrow sat behind J.T. Barrett, hoping to take over for him one day. In 2017, Burrow would battle Dwayne Haskins for the backup role at the time. Burrow would struggle with injuries including a separated shoulder, sprained ankle, and broken hand throughout camp. As a result, Haskins, a redshirt freshman at the time, won the backup role. In the 2017 season, Haskins was thrown into the Michigan game where he led Ohio State to the win. Although Burrow felt that Haskins had the starting role locked down, he still decided to compete for the starting job in spring ball. Many believe Burrow had outperformed Haskins, but Haskins won the starting job. When Urban Meyer informed Burrow that he had not won the job, Burrow decided with a heavy heart that it was time to transfer. Burrow was a graduate transfer, meaning he could play immediately with 2 years of eligibility left. Burrow was ranked as one of the top graduate transfers at the time and again was hoping to be offered by Nebraska. Once again, the offer never came. At this point, Burrow had been snubbed by Nebraska twice, passed over at the Elite 11, and never got to start at Ohio State. Most would give up at this point or would complain, but Burrow didn't either. Burrow considered 2 schools while being recruited: Cincinnati and LSU. When Burrow visited LSU, he did not want the red carpet treatment. All he cared about was football. Burrow loved the food, the film sessions with the coaches, and the possibility of playing time. Burrow was not promised a starting job, but was told he was going to compete for the job, and that's all he cared about. Coach O believed in him and took the risk on him. Burrow committed to LSU and competed against Miles Brennan, a former 4-star recruit, Lowell Narcisse, and redshirt junior Justin McMillan. Burrow won the starting job, and as a result, McMillan transferred to Tulane, Narcisse transferred to Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College and later on to UTSA, and Miles Brennan is predicted to take over for Burrow this coming season. In the 2018 season, Joe Burrow led LSU to a 10-3 record with wins over number 7 Auburn, number 2 Georgia, and number 7 UCF, which I will talk more about that game in a second. LSU's 3 losses were to 22 Florida, 27-19, number 1 Alabama, 29-0, and Texas A&M in a 7-overtime thriller, 74-72. Yes, you heard the score right. Burrow threw for 2,894 yards and 16 touchdowns and 5 interceptions while completing 219 of his 379 pass attempts. Burrow also rushed for 399 yards and 7 touchdowns on 128 attempts. One hit would change everything for Burrow. In the Fiesta Bowl against UCF, LSU was down 7-3 when Burrow would throw a pass that would be picked off and returned for a touchdown. Burrow would take a massive hit from Joey Connor, a 6'1", 313-pound defensive lineman. While on the ground in pain, Joe Burrow probably decided he was tired of being pushed down and disrespected by everyone. Before that play, Burrow had thrown for 2,531 yards, 12 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions, completing 57% of his passes on the season, and in the game was 2 for 6 with 31 yards and an interception. After the hit, Burrow threw for 363 yards, 4 touchdowns, and completed 19 of 28 passes, a 67.9% completion percentage. Burrow beat UCF 40-32, snapping UCF's 25-game win streak. A monster had been woken up, and the momentum would not stop there. In 2019, Joe Brady, a former Saints offensive assistant, would become the passing game coordinator for LSU and would overhaul the LSU offensive game. No more conservative offensive plays. They were going to spread the field and score. Brady and Burrow were a match made in heaven. Burrow threw for 5,671 yards, third most all-time in a season, 60 touchdowns, an NCAA record, and 6 interceptions, completing 402 of his 527 passing attempts, a 76.3% completion percentage. He also had 368 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns on 115 attempts. Burrow showed up in big games, having massive games against Texas, Florida, Auburn, Alabama, Georgia, Oklahoma, and Clemson. In the semifinals of the college football playoffs against Oklahoma, Burrow threw for 493 yards and 7 touchdowns, as well as a rushing touchdown in a blowout win, 63-28. Burrow would follow that performance up against Clemson in the national championship game with 463 passing yards, 5 passing touchdowns, along with 58 yards on the ground and another touchdown. Burrow completed passes that didn't seem possible. Watching his film, I sat in awe, constantly saying, "How?" Burrow would win the Heisman Trophy with the largest margin of victory ever, being the second Heisman winner in LSU history, where he gave an amazing acceptance speech that I recommend watching. He was AP National Player of the Year, Maxwell Award, Walter Camp Award, Davey O'Brien Award, Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award, Manning Award winners, and SEC Offensive Player of the Year Award winner. Burrow was voted unanimously to the First Team All-American team, to the All-SEC team, and SEC Academic Honor Roll. Burrow had 6,039 total yards and broke the NCAA record for total touchdowns with 65 touchdowns. Burrow also led LSU to a 15-0 record and the national championship. In his career at LSU, Burrow threw for 8,565 yards, 76 passing touchdowns, and 11 interceptions. He holds the record for career completion percentage with 68.5% completion percentage. Burrow was responsible for 88 career total touchdowns and owns the record for most top 10 wins with 11. Since the Connors hit, Burrow has 6,402 total yards and 69 total touchdowns. Burrow measured to be 6'3" and 221 pounds. His hands measured in at 9 inches, which there were jokes about having small hands. Burrow scored a 34 on the Wonderlic test. This put him in the 77th percentile. Usually teams look for a person to score above 30 because that means they are, in traditional sense, smart. Ryan Fitzpatrick holds the record for score with a 48. Burrow is projected to be the number 1 overall pick in Thursday's NFL draft, which is owned by his hometown team, the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow has had a roller coaster of a career, but every time he has been pushed down, he has come back stronger, and I'm excited to see what he does in the NFL.